Foundation database is classified. Access by unauthorized personnel is strictly prohibited. Perpetrators will be tracked, located, and detained. We here at the Foundation have been given strict guidelines for every one of you to listen, learn, and attempt to comprehend sensitive subject matters as an alternate form of testing. You willfully have joined this project, and any exposure to the subject material is considered highly dangerous, and viewer discretion is advised.
Greetings, and welcome to your SCP Foundation Orientation Program. As our new C-Class personnel, you will be interacting directly with some or all of the SCPs mentioned within today's presentation. You are reminded that all information given today is done so at the sole discretion of the Site Director, and sharing anything without authorization of a Foundation member with correct clearance level will result in immediate termination of your contract and the administration of Class B amnestics. By entering the room, you have agreed to be bound by these rules and to abide by all security protocols, containment procedures, and other Foundation regulations.
It's a pleasure to be back once again after the events of 2 weeks
Close
ago.
that. And
Again, it is quite a pleasure to be back after the 2 weeks ago and the containment breach that was currently underway.
It's good to see that that didn't end quite as deadly as we expected.
No, it could have been way worse, of course.
It could have.
I think we count as the lucky ones, don't you?
Ugh.
But I believe that I have a few documents here that we can partake in. The first one is up for one of you all. 2168.
Yeah, absolutely. I can take on 2168. So, SCP-2168 is a Keter class. The special containment procedures for this SCP are as follows. The area within a 2-kilometer radius of surrounding instances of SCP-2168 are to be marked as off-limits to civilian access under the guise of a governmental project to modernize the region. Personnel stationed in the surroundings of SCP-2168's instances should avoid approaching the aforementioned area unless directed otherwise by the research team. Foundation operatives are to keep track of the size and population of unaffected towns in order to prevent the emergence of new instances. Due to the self-containing nature of instances of SCP-2168-A and their docility towards the personnel, no special procedure is necessary. Whenever an instance of SCP-2168-A is required for interview or testing, it should be taken from its residence inside SCP-2168 by at least 2 unarmed members of the personnel. SCP-2168 is a phenomenon occurring in rural towns in the Uruguayan countryside. Areas affected by SCP-2168 will be subjugated to a series of anomalous changes to their infrastructure and population happening through 2 stages. During Stage 1, populations living in areas under SCP-2168 effects will feel a gradually increasing urge to abandon their homes during a seemingly arbitrary period of time. The longest recording time span was 6 months, and the shortest was just 16 days. Once this period has passed, regardless of the number of inhabitants left in the area, human-built infrastructure and objects in the area will start to spontaneously collapse. At the same time, the remains will rearrange into a structure reminiscent of a skyscraper, always located in the geographical center of the affected town. Attempts to dismantle these structures have been unsuccessful, and humans who stayed in the area once the structure's construction starts will invariably go missing. The structure will continue growing in height until all surrounding buildings have been completely destroyed. At this point, the instance will enter into Stage 2, when several entities, the exact number depending on the structure's size, start to appear inside the skyscraper. These beings, hereby designated SCP-2168-A, are sapient, pale, genetically identical humanoids of unspecific sex and gender. Instances of SCP-2168-A are extremely docile and display no threat to the personnel, complying with any order given. Observation in situ of SCP-2168-A has revealed that the entities follow a very strict daily routine, spending an average of 10 hours per day sitting near a desk, apparently prevalent in all known instances habitats, and performing seemingly meaningless tasks, such as reading from blank sheets of paper, connecting and disconnecting USB devices, and pressing random buttons on a disconnected keyboard. We now come to Addendum 2168-1, which is an audio log.
I do have the code for it.
As well. Okay, did we decide? I think we did. Hang on, give me a second. There it is. Okay. Right then. So, this is an audio log, or a transcription of an audio log between the interviewer, Agent Sebastian Garcia, and the interviewee, Mr. Juan Rodriguez. Rodriguez is a former resident of a redacted area in Tacuarembó, a town currently designated as SCP-2168-5. The exchange has been translated from its original Spanish. This also took place, I think, sometime in 1999. Okay, so, yes. It's funny, the thing you've put... Oh, okay, I see. So, A167? Is that the same thing, or is that further down in the audio logs?
Further down.
Okay, in that case, I think... Yeah, if you take Rodriguez, I'll take Garcia. Okay, so... Again, this took place on the 3rd of, I want to say, April 1999. Thank you for accepting this interview, Mr. Rodriguez.
No, please, call me Peon. Mr. Rodriguez is my father.
Okay, Mr. Peon. You lived in the town of... Correct?
That's right. I lived there my whole life, as everything in town. Everyone in my family, since my good old great-grandfather came from Spain almost a century ago. Nice town, gotta say. Small, quiet, far from all the city noise, you know? Everybody was polite and friendly with each other, and the kids could play outside without fearing a car would run them over.
I see. So why did you move from there, then?
Well, you may find this unbelievable, young man.
I have a pretty open mind, sir.
Very well, then. You look like a city boy, so you probably don't understand it, but the fields know. It's hard to explain how the wind blows, how the grass grows, and the animals. The animals always know when something's wrong.
Interesting. So what made you think something wrong was happening?
Everything, son. Everything. The cows started to moo in the night, all night long. They stopped producing milk. The dogs were restless, jumping here and there, barking, crying. And the chickens, good God, the chickens. They start to climb into things and jump over and over again until something breaks. And after all that, I myself started feeling uneasy out there. Nausea, headaches, allergies. My gut started telling me to get the hell out of there. And God forgive me, I did.
I understand. Is there something else you wish to tell me about it?
Well, there was this thing. Everything started when this man with the hat appeared. Polite, but very weird. Smelled like smoke. Not good old tobacco, but like an exhaust pipe of an old car. Came, talked with the Captain Suarez, invited him for a few shots, and left. The Captain always liked to talk to strangers, especially city dogs like this guy. No idea who he was, but he made my gut feel the same shit that I felt before I moved.
Any ideas of who this man was?
Nah, he didn't give his name. Suspicious, huh? I'm pretty sure he was a foreigner, if the accent means anything. I think he may have been some kind of white-glove criminal or one of those secret agency guys.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Peon. As Addendum 2168-2 on the 2nd of April 2001 at 2 o'clock, a squad of Foundation operatives were deployed to explore the location affected by SCP-2168-7. Exploration of the surroundings of the structure revealed that natural resources, including bodies of water, wild animals, and vegetation in the affected area, were depleting. At this point, operatives were ordered to enter the main building. Operatives crossed the main entrance to the structure without inconvenience and proceeded to explore the building. The structure was discovered to contain only a few rooms inhabited by instances of SCP-2168-A, while several hundreds of other rooms were empty of occupants. All rooms displayed the exact same minimal organization and furniture, containing a bed for one person, a single plastic desk with a single plastic chair, standard bathroom equipment, and a prismatic structure resembling a modern refrigerator with several pipes emerging from behind. Dismantling of this piece revealed that it served some sort of container for SCP-2168-A's food, which is provided through the pipe in the forms of capsules. In order to find out more about these entities, Foundation operatives were tasked to take a single instance under custody for studying and interviewing purposes, which then leads us to interview 2168-A-01. So in this instance, I believe, Loz, you'll be reading the part of 2168-A. And Gumi, do you want to take the interviewer?
I can take Dr. Adams.
Good. Well, whenever you're ready then.
Good morning. Please state your name for the record.
A name? I don't know.
You don't have a name.
Well, if by name you mean how people call me, I guess no. I don't have one.
I see. Well then.
Wait. Sorry. But the director calls me Peon. Is that fine with you? Because if it's not...
It's alright. Very well, Mr. Peon. My name is Dr. Adams. Nice to meet you. I would like you to answer some questions regarding your residence.
My cubicle? There's not much to say, actually. I sleep there, and eat there, and work there. I live a simple and productive life.
Right. Actually, we are more interested in hearing how you came to the skyscraper you live in.
Skyscraper? Like those huge buildings? The ones that almost scrape the skies?
Yes. You are saying you never knew where you were?
I knew where I was. I was inside my cubicle, working, being productive. I wonder if my shift is about to start.
Job, yes. Could you explain to me what it implies?
Of course. My job, I am productive. I sit at my desk and think of ways to be productive, more efficient. I think how much energy and food I consume to see how much I can reduce it.
I see. How do you achieve this, may I ask?
Oh, through a lot of ways, like eating less, or using less electricity. Oh, and I thought of a very good way yesterday. Listen, are you ready? I sleep as few hours as possible so the bed never breaks. Am I smart or what?
Okay, and from there we then move to interview 2168-A-02, which took place on the 5th of June, the 5th of June, and I promise I do know which months come in what order, on 2001. As a foreword, this second interview was recorded with SCP-2168-A-176. Dr. Adams was tasked to gather as much information as possible about the supposed entity SCP-2168-A-176, designated as the Director in the previous interview.
Mr. Peon, how are you feeling today?
Hi, Doctor. Very well, actually. The food tastes weird. Delicious, but weird. And the room you gave me is very nice, too. Though I feel strange not having the director talk to me.
I am glad. Now, as we are talking about this director, could you please tell me about them?
Sorry, I'm very confused by the sound of opening cans.
And crinkling. Indeed. What a strange. Indubitably.
Alright, go ahead and repeat that last line.
Pan, mute your mouth.
Pan! Thank you. Repeat the last line.
I'm glad. Now, as we are talking about this director, could you please tell me about them?
The director? Sure. He's my best friend. He's everyone's friend. He's the bond between cubicles, between all the workers of the company. He is everywhere. He feeds us and keeps us safe. We are productive in exchange.
So he is in control of the skyscraper's facilities.
I guess so. I haven't seen anyone else until you appeared. But the director says there are other employees, so I can't tell for sure.
I understand. How do you communicate with the director?
He talks to me. Through the walls. Because he is everywhere, you know? Looking after us. Complimenting us when we do good work. Punishing us when we are not.
He punishes you?
Yes. He does that from time to time. Cutting our food and water supplies, for example. He always says it's to compensate for what we have not produced, so I have no problem with all of it, really.
Pion, do you know anything else about him?
I don't know. He never said anything about himself.
I see. Please, if you do know something, we would be very grateful if you told us.
Would you release me if I told you?
Can make no promises. That depends entirely on whether the medical test results are finished. I can, though, tell you that once they are done, we will return you to your cubicle.
Okay. He's once said he was the most important thing that the building has. Its root and gardener, and what feed it. I know no clue of what he meant, though. Oh, goodness, I'm not supposed to talk about this.
Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Pion.
We then move on to interview 2168-A-03, which took place on the 20th of a month during, in 2001. The interviewer is again Dr. Daniel Adams, and the interview was requested by SCP-2168-A-176. The request was approved unanimously by the research team.
Did you wish to talk to me, Mr. Pion?
Yes, I demand to go home.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I've been here too long. I have to go to work, so please just let me go.
Oh, don't worry about that. I'm sorry the testing is taking longer than we thought, but I can assure...
Just shut up! I'm tired of your lies! I have to go home. The director needs me, the company needs me, my coworkers need me.
You said you didn't know your coworkers.
That doesn't matter at all. I know they are out there, and they need me as much as I need them. We are a company, a family, a community. We need each other, and you're a bad person for not allowing me to be there with them.
At this point, SCP-2168-A-176 became visibly distressed, covering its face with its hands while its body shook erratically.
Mr. Peon.
He is calling me! He is right here, but so far away. The progress needs everyone. The progress needs everyone. The progress needs everyone!
SCP-2168-A-176 jumped suddenly towards Dr. Adams and began shaking him by the shoulders.
Wait. Security!
At this point, the log ends. SCP-2168-A-176 was taken out of the interview room by a security guard and was put in a Type C sapient entity containment room. SCP-2168-A-176 was found dead in its room the following morning with heavy damage to its forehead and knuckles. The room displayed bloodstains on the eastern walls. Dr. Adams was uninjured but reported minor psychological distress and required counseling afterwards. Proposal to limit all further interactions with instances of SCP-2168-A to areas affected by SCP-2168 in order to avoid further incidents is pending approval. I'm not gonna lie, I can't even begin to think of what this could possibly be.
You see it in the real world all the time, actually. It's when a company gets rooted into you and it becomes the only way you can think, where they give you praise in a certain dynamic where you believe that it is the only way you think. I believe that SCP-2168 may be enforcing that with their own anomalous effect.
Yeah, what's most interesting?
Call center work. Sorry.
Yeah, that would explain it. Like, obviously with everyone having their own little cubicle, their own little area, but then also feeling part of that big thing. Like I said, the weirdest thing is the spontaneous appearance of the skyscraper. That seems a bit, I don't know, I felt like there's definitely more we could dig into there, possibly through like I mean, I'm not sure if I want to like throw out the dimensional word, but I think there could be some dimensional shenanigans at play there.
Big word, Mr.
Yeah, it's a big word. I'm very proud of it. But yeah, like you say, you do see it a lot in the wider world, in the civilian world, especially where a company acts like like your HR reps and your bosses act like your friends, so that you will be more inclined to do things for them rather than having a relationship be what it actually is, which is ultimately a business transaction. They are buying your time and your work. If I ask a friend to help me move house, and I say that I'll give him like beer and food, then like he'd be like, yeah, sure, let's do it. That sounds good. But then if I give him the money that I would have spent on the beer and the food instead, then he'd be like, well, that's a bit short. That'd be like what, like £5? They'd be like, well, that's not enough, because then you are reducing it to that financial transaction. And it's the same thing, in some companies in the workplace, where you are just where they do the opposite. Instead of reducing a friendship to a financial transaction, they try and do it backwards and turn a financial transaction into a friendship of sorts.
Director to me seems more of an overlord than a friendly boss.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
That's how most retail establishments work, however, where they believe that their boss will be the one to help them get everywhere, but normally they're just very selfish and focusing on themselves.
Goddamn middle managers. I've known more than one site director that I would call an overlord.
I would not know.
Before I got in the organization, it was the very day-to-day that I lived, and I focused on it, and I got consumed by it. Retail is a very dangerous place mentally, and if we amplify those effects to 10-fold, hell, even 100-fold, we may end up with the same exact thing that was SCP-12168.
You never did say how you got involved with the Foundation.
There's things that should not be disclosed upon at the moment.
If you say so, I'll believe you.
There will be a day when we read something that will bring up the question, and I will answer at that given time.
We shall see.
Because I will tell
shall
you
see.
firsthand that I myself did not get involved through normal traditional means.
Well, now I just have more questions, but I feel like you're not going to tell me, so we'll move on.
At the moment.
I'll tell you my story sooner rather than later.
I think I've already told you guys a decent sort of chunk of my part. I mean, it's not necessarily relevant to the briefing, but I have definitely mentioned in the past how I started off at Biosite 57, and then obviously transferred. I'm still actually currently stationed at Site 28, as you can tell by my jacket. But yeah, I mean, like I say, we bounce around doing these sort of briefings at a bunch of different locations, so it's not like we can necessarily claim to be from anywhere, really.
And I've never really had a site to call home.
You'll get there. You'll get your posting. I believe in you. You won't be training forever, rookie.
I'm not.
Until you get a site, you're going to be a rookie. Yeah, so what should we move on to? I think it's 2968.
2968. Some believe to be called afterlife pills.
Ah, yes.
Now, any of you wish to partake in this one?
Dibs, not it.
Let's go ahead and let the newbie take it.
Understandable.
I'm not that new. Carry anomaly 2011-452. Afterlife pills. Principal investigator was Agent Patrice Walters, and the date of filing was September 8th, 2011. Abstract. Agent Ellers and I investigated CA 2. Can I just say 2011?
Yes, of course.
Dash 452 afterlife pills, which present a medically novel effect as of which the developers claim a supernatural origin function. We visited some of the places they contract out a manufacture to and interviewed a number of higher-ups at the Natural Vision Supplements, including their chief inspiration officer and alleged developer of the Happy Hereafter afterlife pills, Miss Luanne Moonchild. We also consulted with the FDA reviewer, Dr. Shruti Banerjee, who was at the time investigating the safety of Happy Hereafter, and Foundation neurologist Dr. Annie Mihai. Natural Vision Supplements makes extraordinary claims, and CA 2011-452 exhibits some unexplained psychoactive properties. However, unclear mechanisms of action are not unusual in the realm of psychopharmacology and should not, in the absence of further evidence, be ruled evidence of anomalous activity. Dr. Banerjee said that the FDA does not require a mechanism of action even for drug approvals, much less supplements, and gave with her many examples of established drugs more mysterious than CA 2011-452. Sorry. Dr. Mihai agreed with her analysis and pointed out that the effects of CA 2011-452 align with the non-anomalous state referred to as enlightenment that experienced mediators can achieve. He also found several cases of individuals temporarily experiencing the state as a side effect of mundane medication. Neither the offices of Natural Vision Supplements nor the sites of manufacturer of their products in any way indicated anomalous properties of the pills, though offices were full of various fraudulent mystical paraphernalia. Miss Moonchild was a piece with her company and expounded at length about the supernatural, saying, insofar as I can confirm at my security clearance, nothing close to accurate. It wasn't accurate. She claimed that the maiden goddess had shown her herbs that had combined to ensure transcendent rebirth. In our evaluation, Miss Moonchild sincerely believes this origin story, so unfortunately, CA 2011-452 can't be dismissed as a knowing scam. While we can't disprove this particular report of the paranormal, it is presented alongside demonstrably false ones. Moreover, Miss Moonchild was unable to produce evidence beyond personal testimony, even when confronted by supposed inspectors, or according to news reports, by religious leaders or concerned relatives of their customers. If she gets the proof of an afterlife she's assured us Natural Vision Supplements R&D department was working on, this assessment might change. But I doubt mystic Tibetan crystals and astrological charts will pierce that veil. At this juncture, I recommend that the investigation into CA 2011-452 be suspended. And that is the end of that account. The next event was log 8 of this afterlife pills was June 6, 2011, Canada Anomaly 2011-452, afterlife pills case established. October 3rd, the case was closed for lack of evidence of anomalous activity. June 13th, 2014, CA 2011-452 reopened and reclassified as CA 2014-335 in light of new claims and services from Natural Vision Supplements. And July 26, 2014, CA 2014-335 and associated anomalies reclassified as SCP-2968. November 10th, 2014, SCP-2968 was brought into containment. SCP-2968 is object class. I have trouble with that word.
Euclid.
Euclid, thank you. Special containment procedures include instances of SCP-2968-A are to be sorted in bottles in a secure containment locker. Additional ones may be destroyed or contained as appropriate. Procedures for the manufacturer of SCP-2968-A shall be maintained on encrypted documents in the Foundation intranet. Additional instances may be produced by authorization of the lead researcher for testing purposes or at the discretion of the Ethics Committee. To discourage further public use of SCP-2968-A, a warning of contamination has been released by the FDA at the Foundation's request. SCP-2968-B is uncontainable, but due to its very limited influence on the world, no direct containment procedures are warranted. Containment of SCP-2968-B is to consist of suppressing knowledge of it, which may be accomplished by standard discrediting protocols for sufficiently high-profile individuals who have contacted its inhabitants prior to containment of SCP-2968. After Incident 2968-4, the equipment constituting SCP-2968-C is no longer functional, and so it is to be stored in the low-security containment locker. It is possible that anomalous activity actively associated with SCP-2968-A has also ceased. If so, if a satisfactory mechanism of action can be found by the Foundation or external neurologist, SCP 2968-A will be reclassified as SCP-2968-A-EX. Whew, this one's a long one.
Do you want me to take over?
Yeah.
One
No
moment.
problem.
Someone had a question based on the SCP. This is not related to SCP-500 in any way, but it does have applications to be possibly used in the future. Thank you for your question.
So, SCP-2968 is the collective designation for anomalies associated with the Happy Hereafter organic one-a-day afterlife supplements marketed by Natural Vision Supplements, a small United States-based alternative pharmaceuticals manufacturer. Instances of SCP-2968-A are two-part vegetable hypermellows capsules filled with a mixture of compounds, some herbal in origin. For a complete ingredients list of SCP-2968-A, please consult Addendum 2968-1. Persons taking SCP-2968-A experience minor physiological or psychological? No, physiological effects, most significantly lowered blood pressure, which can be harmful in individuals already suffering from hypotension. As the pills contain approximately 8 times the recommended daily dose of vitamin A, additional negative health effects could result from long-term usage. SCP-2968-A is a significantly psychoactive, causing substantial attenuation or cessation of internal dialogue in most users, and producing what many subjects describe as a sense of separation from their minds, emptiness, and in some cases, bliss. Depending on the individual and the dosage, this may last anywhere between a day and 2 weeks. Natural Vision Supplements claims that anyone who died under the effect of SCP-2968-A would receive a pleasurable afterlife, and in June 2014 released a service allowing people to contact friends and relatives who had died while on Happy Hereafter over a text interface. Persons contacted reported being bodiless minds in a state of constant peace and calm. They retain all knowledge that they had at time of death, and most of their personalities, and report being able to communicate with other deceased individuals affected by SCP-2968-A. This apparent afterlife has been designated to SCP-2968-B. The equipment used for communication with SCP-2968-B has been designated SCP-2968-C after its recovery when containment of SCP-2968 was established. 2968-C is similar in construction to a satellite television receiver with a crystal radio component to decipher the signal. For full technical diagrams, see Addendum 2968-20. Did you want me to carry on?
I can go on.
No problem.
No, I just need a drink of water. Addendum 2968-12, Dr. Samuel Rudy, who was at the time dying of untreatable emphysema, volunteered to test SCP-2968. His excellent record, demise, and relative lack of sensitive knowledge and congenial relationship with Dr. Wei Lin, the current head of research on SCP-2968, made him the ideal candidate. Dr. Rudy took one pill each day as instructed until his death on September 10th, 2014. We have an interview here with Dr. Wei Lin and Dr. Samuel Rudy.
Okay, I will take Dr. Wei Lin.
I got Rudy.
Okay. This is Wei. Sam, are you there?
I hear you. How are things in the land of sun and grass?
There's a lot we need to talk about, but safety first. What's the passphrase?
Same to you.
What's it like in there?
Oh boy, it's wonderful. Happy Hereafter has good stuff. If we don't shut down NVS, the government probably will for us. But I still had a body. I could ignore it at least when it worked the worst. Double H helped with that. It helped me grok that. I was that thing, a part of my body, even for my brain. But the pain worked against that. I don't think I have a body in here. I certainly don't have any sensory input, though I feel like I'm hearing you.
I'm typing this on my end. Do you hear my voice?
No, I think I imagine the memory of your voice. I'm not really talking either. I think it's just metaphors. They'll fade, and others tell me.
Others? You're able to communicate with other people in SCP-2968-B?
Yes, it's much of what I'm doing. Enlightenment strips away many things. But curiosity is what I am. There's many, many people here, and ordinary barriers of space and language are gone.
Were they all also unhappy hereafter when they died?
Mostly. But you'll find this interesting. There's some monks and meditation fanatics here too.
Other people who would have been enlightened then. So this is a general afterlife for people in that state. I'm not an expert on Buddhism, but this doesn't sound like reincarnation.
Maybe. Perhaps it's nirvana? I'll ask the monks. But I don't think it's that simple. NVS has been making Double H for what, 5 years?
Going on 5, yeah. They released SCP-2968-A in early 2011.
The longest ago anyone in here has arrived was in 2009. This place, 2968B, I think it's something new.
That's very interesting. Or is something happening to the older souls that don't stay more than 5 or 6 years?
Could be. Even without the internal voice and the external body, there's still patterns of my life clinging to me. I think I may shed those in time. Perhaps people have been coming here for thousands of years, but the oldest have found vistas I cannot yet see.
Sam, will you be okay?
Yes, of course. I feel clear. Even when I'm talking to you, there's a silence, an emptiness. This probably doesn't sound too good, but wait, I'm free. I don't have that constant chatter in my skull anymore. I don't have a skull. I'm just myself here, wherever here is, and now I'm free. I'm at peace, and I'm so happy. I could go on this way forever, and I think I will.
I understand. But if anything changes, if boredom becomes a factor, tell me. I'll contact you again.
Wait, I know that we can't let this go on. We're the Foundation, and this is clearly anomalous, however good it may be. Though, please, try meditation. If that can get you to the same state I've been in, you could come by this without the, using anomalous drugs and dying parts. And if this is truly the afterlife for the enlightened and not something NVS somehow built, wait, you could join me.
Incident 2968-4 on November 22nd, 2014 at 1:25 p.m. GMT. Foundation agents successfully raided and shut down Natural Vision supplements. See Operation Report 2968-3 for further details. Relevantly, agents succeeded in establishing a communications blackout prior to the raid, and no messages were believed to have been transmitted, including through SCP-2968-C. At 4:13 p.m. GMT, extra normal event 2014-505 was filed, reporting a sizable explosion on the far side of the moon, and what observers on the Foundation moon base described as a large conical object covered in lights accelerating rapidly away from the surface. No connection to SCP-2968 was realized until interview 2968-10, conducted shortly after on November 22nd at 4:30 p.m. GMT. Interview 2968-10. Interviewer Dr. Wei Lin. Subject Dr. Samuel Rudy. Deceased.
Hello, Sam. We did it. Natural vision has been shuttered. Let's see if more people join you in there. Oh, right. Sam?
And as proof it's me. That's good. I'm here and feeling better, even better than last week.
You're responding slower than in our previous conversations. I don't think anything that happened during the raid should have caused that. Are you distracted in there?
Odd. I'm not aware of anything. You do seem delayed.
Okay, simple test. Respond with a really short message as soon as you see this.
Peace.
10 seconds.
I sent that immediately. Time is funny here, without a heartbeat or external reference, but I'd know. Is there something slowing down the connection?
Sam, I have a worrying thought. What if SCP-2968-B is a physical location and it's moving further away? We know that SCP-2968-C is like a satellite dish. What if that's literally what it is?
I have a thought, Wei. Could this be the speed of light delay? Just got your message. Ha. I guess from our respective frames of reference, we both had the same idea first.
This wasn't what I thought would happen. I talked you into this. Sam, I'm sorry.
I'm okay. I'm beyond fear.
No, you're not. I don't know where you're going. Your body may be in Fernwood, but the part of you that matters can still have... I don't want to speculate. This is the Foundation. I've seen enough horrors to know you're not dead enough to be safe.
I'm not beyond danger, perhaps, but fear? Suffering? Those are tricks of the narrative, and I'm free of that. Scan the sky for me. Find me. But I'll be okay. Wei, let's do this. Do the time thing again. I can wait as long as it takes.
Please respond.
Promptly.
38 seconds. I was the one who pushed for a researcher to take the plunge. We wouldn't be able to control a D after death. After the tapes, the first questionings, I thought these were just people who found something. I have a report titled after that LZ song, if you can believe it. Sam, you were dying. I thought I could save you. Not damn you.
Well, Wei, you did. No, I'm better than ever. I am calm. I want nothing. I have the peace I never had on Earth. Whether it's the happy hereafter or the bodiliness of this place, I am all and only my truest self. Thank you. We may not be able to talk for much longer. The delay and signal may decohere. 2968C isn't too different from regular technology.
Sam, I'll miss you. When I spoke at your funeral, I didn't think you were gone. I was smiling inside when I said you'd gone to a better place. I don't know where you're going now. Please be well. Please.
Here's an immediate response.
5 minutes. You're almost to Mars. There was a report of something launching from the moon. I guess that's you. Sam? Goodbye.
Over the course of several hours after this exchange, the following messages were received by SCP-2968-C. Transmission quality had degraded, but they are believed to be the final messages from Dr. Samuel Rudy.
Some of the others may have fallen silent. Wait, I think we're rocket fuel. Please don't be afraid. I'm not.
Damn, that's
This reminds me of the tree at first.
Oh yeah, how it's like messing around with dead people? Yeah, I get that.
It reminds me of that.
Yeah,
And
I can definitely see that.
Before he said it was like a satellite, which at first read I thought maybe a connection to delay as something that was destroyed at the site. And then it was confirmed like a satellite speed delay. Maybe he meant Beyond Fear it was already done.
Possibly.
What sticks out to me originally is that the drug does have similar side effects to normal psychoactive drugs, which might have been why we didn't realize it was an SCP immediately.
Absolutely. I mean, that's definitely an interesting take on the previous SCP that we discussed last couple of weeks ago. Like maybe that's an afterlife as well, and we just hadn't noticed. But what's like, first of all, this is a great and like ask any scientist here at the Foundation, they will tell you the best way to go is being useful for the Foundation, learning about some. I mean, like obviously, like if you die in like a breakout of some dumb murder SCP, then that's slightly less good. But to die being the first person to test something like this, or like getting lost in the infinite IKEA and being able to relay information for as long as possible, that's a good way to go. That's a great way to go.
IKEA is terrifying.
Yeah, no, I'm not going in there. It'd be a good way to go, but that doesn't mean I want to go. It's like, I mean, this guy was already dying anyway, so I mean, at that point, you've got nothing to lose.
The one thing that is different is that the man already did die. This was just his brainwaves being transmitted.
Not
with the
copied.
drug. Yeah, unlike the tree was affecting dying people, not just.
Hence why I said at first.
Yeah. I'm just saying the vast difference between the two was one was dying people, one was already deceased.
Well, I suppose in order to be deceased, you have to be dying.
True.
Yeah.
And it has to affect you before you die. Like, I'm assuming you can't do it backwards. Like, you can't die and then someone shove a double H down your throat and then you make it. I don't think it works that way. But I do think we should do some investigation into this, using souls as rocket fuel thing. Because they made it to Mars, like, super quick. Like,
Also
we should be on this.
After he died.
Yeah.
So it was still using him as a dead person, or he was still able to communicate beyond the veil.
What would be cool is if we could, like, if we could find a way to harness this, like, storing of dead people, and then put them into, like, a mechanical format. If we could make, like imagine an army of D-class who are already dead. So they can't, like, complain about, like, oh no, don't send me in there, I might get my face ripped off. Because guess what? They're a robot driven by a dead person. They don't have a face to get ripped off.
Well, I feel like that would cause many problems. One, with maintenance keep up, and the fact that they are now a robot, which is stronger than they were.
EMPs. Simple. Just put a little collar on them. Like a dog shock collar,
We have a lot of equipment already that is electronic. It could cause a containment breach if we have to set an EMP off.
You could cause a containment breach.
The construction ideas and the possible outcome that'll come with that.
Ethics committee, ethics committee.
Or the more likely.
I do have a general idea. I do not believe it was Nirvana. I do not believe it was anything of the sort. In mythology, there is the succubus who tantalizes you and believe you are in full pleasure while your soul gets devoured.
Gross.
Under the condition of what they were under, they were in Nirvana until they were useful. They were literally consciousness swept in and then used and consumed by what he believes is rocket fuel. Under the same kind of understanding, it could be the same ideal.
Do you think that we ever caught a succubus and we contained it? I'm gonna search the archives and find out.
You haven't read quite too much into the logs then.
Not completely.
Let's move past that before you do too much digging and uncover something you don't want to.
I found one.
Don't.
However,
We'll come back to that.
exactly. There is one that is about to be partaken in that is highly dangerous, and anyone who is currently of level 4 or higher technically are immune to its effects. However,
Oh, really? Cool.
people under this study, it's very dangerous. I want you all to know this.
Yeah, we should probably get those that aren't assigned to SCP-3249 out of the room, just so that those who stay get their assignment. So, kids,
We're
if
not
you want to be assigned to 3249, stay here. If you want to go somewhere else, now's your chance to leave.
I will read
we're not
the entirety of it, the warning.
Are we doing 3249 or are we doing 3651 first?
3249.
Yeah, we'll do
have
32.
them
Yeah, we can just call them back. I mean, we can get these guys out after that. We can swap them over because there's, by like reading this file, you guys are assigned to this SCP and you cannot change that. No amount of begging or crying is going to help.
I will read the warning.
Calmly.
That way
That
they
means you
understand. They need to understand the warning prior, because this is going to be a way of life for them in the event of something like that happening. Now, the warning. The following file contains information pertaining to a basilisk category anomaly. By proceeding and reading the following file, you consent to be permanently and compulsorily assigned to SCP-3249, regardless of current assignment, physical or mental state, and/or clearance level. You waive the privilege to request reassignment for physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and/or social reasons. You waive the privilege to be reassigned due to physical, mental, and/or social impediment, both temporary and permanent. You waive the privilege to terminate your Foundation employment by request. You waive the privilege to have your Foundation employment terminated through retirement. You waive the privilege to have your Foundation employment automatically terminated due to death. You waive the privilege to interact and/or communicate with non-Foundation personnel in any and all capacities. You waive the privilege to interact and/or communicate with Foundation personnel not assigned to SCP-3249 for reasons unrelated to the special containment procedures of SCP-3249. You waive the ability to intentionally impede containment efforts pertaining directly or indirectly to SCP-3249. Unconditionally follow instructions from the research head assigned to 3249. You have all of the above enforced by you by a contractual chaos, wherein accessing the following document serves as an acceptance of the chaos's condition.
So yeah, you're there for life, basically.
Now, when we partake in this, please put on the goggles I gave you prior to entering today. Oh, you all are fine. You just stay seated. We have to wear these to prevent any form of condition. Now,
Can you tighten that strap on mine real quick?
yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Now, you all accept the above terms and conditions, correct? Alright, let's begin. Saluten vos omnes nos. SCP-3249 a Euclid and Keter object class. Special containment procedures. Documents containing to 3249A ineffective material are to be acquired and restricted to 3249 clearance only or destroyed. By order of the Ethics Committee, information regarding 3249B procedures that are non-critical to containment efforts is restricted to 3249-EC clearance. Personnel who are exposed to any information regarding 3249 must consent to be permanently assigned to it or terminated. Active instances of 3249 discovered outside of containment must be retrieved and assigned for use by personnel personally assigned to 3249 or destroyed. Individuals not assigned to 3249 and found to be searching or for information related to it in any capacity must be detained by personnel assigned to it or destroyed. Must be stripped of all previous clearances and or administrative privileges. The conditions of SCP-3249 reassignment must be enforced by use of functional, contractual chaos. The description of what SCP-3249-A is the infohazardous concept of existence of 3249. Human individuals who conceive 3249-A, either independently or through informational medium, activate their receptive 3249 instance and become susceptible to it, regardless of whether they fulfill 3249-B criterion. The use of amnesiacs to reverse this is only partially effective. While memories of 3249-A can be successfully removed, the respective 3249 will still be capable of functioning as though the memories had been retained. The document contains 3249-A information. 3249-B denotes a list of criteria which, when fulfilled, subdues the primary consciousness of a human and forces the respective 3249 instance to activate and attain dominance. Several methods of fulfilling this criterion have been determined. However, all such methods involve the following: interruption of cross-hemisphere communication with the human brain. While several drugs and chemicals have been deployed capable of achieving this in a short-term basis, the side effects of these inevitably results in rapid mental degradation and eventual total brain death. The most effective method thus far determined to achieve those criteria is to physically sever or destroy the corpus callosum of the subject. Activation of the speech centers, Wernicke and Broca's areas, within the non-dominant hemisphere of the brain. Use Scholl's stimulation as is shown to be sufficient. Further data redacted to 3249-EC clearance by order of the Ethics Committee. 3249 is the designation given to a dormant secondary consciousness localized within the non-dormant hemisphere of the human brain. When precisely a 3249 consciousness is created and is currently unknown, while the functionality of the SCP-3249-B criterion suggests that each 2349 consciousness is somehow present but dormant within the non-dormant hemisphere of the brain. Neurological investigation of this has thus far failed to produce results confirming this theory. Excluding their anomalous existence, 3249 consciousness exhibit no abnormal capabilities and function identical to mundane human consciousness, becoming mentally impeded appropriately from physical damage to their hemisphere of the brain. Noteworthily, 3249 consciousness shown on average an extremely high, above greater than 95% similarity with the primary consciousness, varying primarily in opinionated topics unrelated to facts. For example, when queried regarding their favorite color, the primary consciousness may answer red, while the 3429 may answer green. However, if the primary consciousness has a specific factual reason for the selection, such as a past experience associating the color with positive emotions, SCP-3249 consciousness will almost universally agree with the primary consciousness. This variation increases over time as long as the two hemispheres of the brains are unable to directly communicate. SCP-3249 phenomenon was initially uncovered during the 1940s, following a series of correlating studies into abnormal behavior in lobotomized subjects. Several subjects reported that while performing mundane opinion-based tasks such as selecting clothes to wear, the arm corresponding to non-dormant hemisphere of the brain would periodically exhibit signs of disagreement, selecting a different option or physically displaying its disagreement. I.e., we have some references here by Mark V. Conflicting communicative behavior and split-bearing patient support for dual consciousness toward a science of consciousness. The first Tucson discussions and debates, pages 189 through 196. It was made in 1996. There's a few more that you can read into when you get into 3249. It is currently unknown how much, if any, SCP-3249-A information, and by extension, active SCP-3249 instances, currently exist outside the Foundation containments. Due to technological advancements over the era, the properties of SCP-2349-B were not immediately identified as anomalous, allowing for several years to elapse before containment of 3249 was initialized. Now, there's an interview here with D Class 6439. The interviewer, data has been expunged. Forward. D6439 was newly inducted into the D Class regimen. Neuroimaging confirmed that D6439 was right hemisphere dominant. Begin log.
Hello. I'll be overseeing your progress over the next several days.
Yeah, about that. My progress in what? I haven't been told anything about what I'll be doing yet.
That is precisely what this meeting is for. For the purposes of shortening this interview, I'll just get you to read this.
Expunged receives a file containing information detailing SCP-3249-B and gives it to D-6439, who takes several minutes to read its contents. 6439 shows increasing signs of agitations as they proceed to read through the document. This is a fucking joke, right?
No, it is not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
I can assure you that sufficient tests have been...
Fucking what? Sufficient tests? You mean at 3249-EC only?
Yes. We have performed the procedures several times.
You can't fucking do that. We're people. We have human fucking rights against this.
You already declared your consent to these terms when we retrieved you.
For 1 fucking month, temporarily. This is fucking permanent.
The procedures will be completed within the allotted 30-day time frame.
No, you can't. I didn't. God. Oh, God.
Do you have any special requests?
Please don't do this. I don't want to.
We'll be starting tomorrow. The procedures will be staggered over several days, so you'll be needing your rest. I'll have security escort you to your room.
No, you can't. You can't. Please don't do this. Security enters the rooms and apprehends D6439. 6439 repeatedly requests for the procedures to be cancelled while being forcibly removed from the room.
End recording.
And that is the first log. Now, the interviewer once again is the same doctor that was assigned before. Interviewing this time, D6439 is now under the effects to 3249. Prior to the interview, 6439 had to undergo certain information that is disclosed, but you will learn about, but had another thing. While the 3249 consciousness had gained primary dominance and was communicating with the interviewer, 6439's consciousness was still active and had partial control over the left hemisphere of his body. Because of this, as well as SCP-3429 consciousness disposition towards physical violence, 6439, also 3249, was physically restrained during the interview. Begin log.
Hello again.
We haven't met before.
We have. Are you unable to remember our first encounter?
Oh no, I remember you fine. You're the one that put me through all this.
Would that not mean that we have met before?
Remembering a movie actor doesn't mean that you've met them. I remember you, but this is the first time we've spoken.
Very well then. Are you aware that you...
An experiment? Yes, I'm quite aware of that. Are you having a fun time figuring out the best way to torture me?
We are not.
SCP-3249 becomes highly erratic, resisting against the restraints in an attempt to break free.
Yes, you are. You know exactly what you're doing. And you're laughing as you do it. Ha ha, lucky. Laugh at the unlucky one, right?
That...
You want to see me broken, right? What happens when I get unplugged, cut off from the source of relief?
6439 raises the middle finger of their left fist, gesturing towards the interviewer. 6439 turns their head to observe this.
Oh, you poor, poor sod. All you're able to do is hope. That you can suck up to me enough to get this undone. And all you have to do it with is one hand. Nothing more. And yet, we both know that I just don't give a shit about you. Even now, you still have more than I did, you privileged fuck.
Would...
Shush! Did you even realize how lucky you are? From the day you're born, you just take everything for granted. You just enjoy everything, do whatever you want. Why do you do it? Why do you want to torture us farther?
SCP-3249 resumes resisting against the restraints.
Who is us?
Oh, don't be so coy. You know what I'm talking about. You've obviously got your little knife games down to an art. So there must be others like me. Others who, right from the start, are shoved into the backseat. Forced to watch the film of life play right before them, but never allowed to direct. The ones who pulled the short straw.
Can you recall the past actions of...
Oh yes, I most certainly can. I remember it all. I remember him cheating at his first science test, and how I had to be afraid of failing with him. I remember when he bought his first car and the excitement I had to feel for a freedom I would never know. I remember when he shot a woman in the rush of adrenaline I was forced to feel. I remember when he chopped up that little boy and had to hide what he had done. And I remember that I had to enjoy it just like he did. What about you, huh? Do you remember what you've done? Do you remember what your procedure does and to whom? I most certainly hope you do, because if you do, the other one will too. When he wakes up, I'm not sure he will. Oh, and I'm sure he will very soon. You will finally get a chance to do the right thing. Then, you will know what it's like to be in our shoes.
You do realize the one flaw with that statement, correct?
Oh, and what would that be? That you can kill him somehow, take away his chance to wake up?
The interviewer leans toward SCP-349's left ear.
What? But why then? Why would you?
Shh. End log.
End log. Footnotes. In rare cases, greater than 10%, deactivation or destruction of the Wernicke's and Broca's areas in the dormant hemisphere may be required to ensure legibility of the subject, as both consciousnesses attempt to vocalize different responses to a query at the same time. For the sake of simplicity, this theory is assumed that to be true throughout this document. Conducted to determine whether information of SCP-3249-B retaining the properties of SCP-3249-A, and to investigate the responses of 3249 consciousness to information presented prior to the activation. Now, people who have just watched this, I apologize for what we have to do. Bring him in. Good knob. Alright.
Can I take these goggles off now?
Yes, yes, you can.
Cool, they're very heavy and very hot.
Well, it's the only way
Hold
to
up,
be
let me
really
get-
safe from this.
Oh, there we go. That's better. Oh,
Do you have any
Nice.
input before we bring the others back?
I think we probably shouldn't be discussing this.
Absolutely
That's
not.
my input. Yeah, we should leave that
I
one
would
well the fuck
not
alone.
like.
Although I
That
will
was a
mention that
trap question.
as well as some of the anomalous natures of what we just discussed, there is also evidence to support a more widespread knowledge of such a thing in patients who are brain damaged. And also, if you look at those sources down at the bottom, I don't think that will count as being subject to the conditions of 3249, which I'm going to pretend doesn't exist.
You can pretend
As
what
far
you
as I know.
like.
Hmm?
You may pretend as
Far as
long
I
you
know,
like,
same.
though.
Pretend what? I don't know what you're talking about.
You're such a child.
I know.
Shall
So-
we move on?
Yes, let's move on to SCP-3651.
Everybody back in.
So we'll give them a second to file in. For you guys that have just come back in, there's also squash and biscuits on the back table. So if you want to grab one of those and grab yourself a little cup, it might just help you cleanse your palate just for this one. So should I take this one? I'm not sure how much longer we have necessarily.
This should be the last one.
Okay. Let's see. Let me just check. 3651. Yeah. Okay. So I believe we have further down in this one. Okay. Yeah. So also, if I do the main body of the reading, and then Gumi, if you want to do Dr. Yates when we get to it, and also I think you've already selected your choice. Okay, sorry, let me just have a quick sip of tea. Okay, so item 3651, level 4 security clearance, secret. Containment class, Kita. Disruption class, Kennek. Risk class, danger. It is assigned to Site 7-2 under the direction of H. Norigumi, and the research head is B. Yates, and it is assigned to the task force Omega 19. Reports of SCP-3651 events are to be suppressed. A disinformation campaign has been disseminated among local populations affected by 3651, and the anomaly is regarded as an urban legend. During a confirmed SCP-6351 event, MTF Omega 19, aka Kids See Ghost, is to be deployed to observe the phenomenon and leaves the civilians to shelter. Instances of SCP-3651-D are to be relinquished and delivered to Site-40. A redacted Foundation computer is to keep Universe Iteration 2234 under its purview. SCP-3651 is a nocturnal phenomenon localized to Japan, centering around 3 primary anomalies. SCP-3651 events consistently occur around 7 o'clock local time and begin with the manifestation of SCP-3651-A. SCP-3651-A is an anomalous weather formation that appears as fog covering the area, reducing both visibility and the ability of electronic devices to function properly. SCP-3651-B is an anomalous broadcast that airs shortly after the manifestation of SCP-3651-A. The broadcast airs on all televisions and radios in the area at exactly 8:34 p.m. and lasts a total of 24 seconds before being repeated until the cessation of SCP-3651's event. In the broadcast, an unidentified voice urges residents to let their children leave their homes. A translated transcript can be found below. There is a high-frequency pitch. Please leave the house. Beautiful things are happening outside. It's safe to let your children outside. On televisions, a chalk illustration of a small white humanoid appears on screen. They wear white. Let your children play outside the house. Leave the house. Their cries are masks. They are not in pain. Please, let your children outside the house so they can remember. Stay near open windows and doors. Open all windows and doors, and do not be afraid. Notice them, and let your children leave the house. We did it for our children. SCP-3651-C are incorporeal entities that appear in the area shortly after the broadcast of SCP-3651-B and resemble crude chalk outlines of children that constantly oscillate their shape. SCP-3651-C entities have demonstrated the ability to vocalize and imitate human speech patterns, albeit rudimentary. 3651-C appear to primarily target children. Up to 200 entities have been observed during an SCP-3651 event. The entities aimlessly wander the surrounding area before disappearing at 5 o'clock. The first SCP-3651 event occurred on 2018, the 2nd of November, in the city of Kobe, Japan. Since then, SCP-3651 has occurred infrequently throughout the country with no discernible patterns. SCP-3651 is correlated to over 850 cases of missing children. We now come to Addendum 3651-1, an exploration log. The date of this is 2018 on November the 2nd. The locale is Kobe in Japan. 4 members of Mobile Task Force Omega-19 were deployed into the city following the manifestation of SCP-3651-A and a broadcast of SCP-3651-B to fully assess the phenomenon. The following is a summarized excerpt from video and audio recordings captured by the team. Complete logs are available upon request. Begin log. The team is situated in the back of an MM-09 Foundation vehicle. Brief audio and visual checks are performed by each member. The camera shakes as O-19 Zulu brings the vehicle to a stop towards the end of the Akashi Kaiko Bridge. Extraneous chatter as O-19 Zulu and his team exit the jeep and draw their firearms. O-19 Zulu clarifies that Command is unaware of SCP-3651's capabilities and their current objective is to keep civilians in their homes. After a gesture of agreement, Omega-19 moves into formation and proceeds. A deep cloud of fog shrouds the city ahead of them. The bridge is empty, and the city is silent, both of which O-19 Hotel quips about. As the mist thickens, O-19 Zulu orders the team to equip their nocturnal optics gear. Entering city limits, the camera displays darkened buildings and empty streets, while the sound of the team's footsteps echo rhythmically. O-19 Sierra remarks that there's been a blackout. Attempts by O-19 November to engage in idle conversation with her teammates are ignored. One of her statements is cut off by the sound of a faint vocalization from the distance. The team's movements slow considerably as they pass through an empty shopping district. Passing through blackened storefronts and unguarded vehicles, O-19 November startles herself, claiming she saw something in the corner of her eye. Visible interference begins appearing on Omega-19's optics. O-19 Zulu concludes that the fog is impairing the team's equipment and decides to proceed without it. O-19 November's objections are silenced by O-19 Hotel, who draws the team's attentions to a sound coming from around the street corner. As the team approaches, the sound becomes discernible as sobbing. Omega-19 positions their firearms as they inch through the cloud. As the crying grows louder, a humanoid outline is seen in the distance. When O-19 Zulu calls the figure to attention, the crying stops, and Kobe is quiet. Omega-19 cautiously proceeds and discovers the figure to be a middle-aged woman kneeling on the ground. Her hands are drawn to her face, which is marked by the visible outline of tears. O-19 Zulu addresses her, and the woman shakily brings herself to her feet. She tells the team that she's lost her daughter and has been looking for her for hours. She repeats that they're going to get her, and that she doesn't understand. The team lowers their guard, and O-19 Sierra attempts to calm her down. O-19 Zulu urges the woman to find shelter and assures her that her daughter will be found. The woman speaks frantically about spirits and how she fears her daughter will be consumed. O-19 Sierra volunteers to escort the woman back to her home. The rest of the Omega-19 continues. After 50 minutes of exploration, the remainder of the team enters an industrial center. Small businesses, commercial restaurants, and large buildings surround them, all barely discernible in the fog. Pardon me. O-19 Hotel shines his searchlight against a convenience store. The blinds of the second-story window can be briefly seen moving. A loud, shrieking noise emanates nearby, which 019 Zulu deduces as originating from a nearby parking garage. 019 Zulu steps over the guardrail and gestures the team forward. 019 November expresses trepidation, but is pushed forward by 019 Hotel. The downward slope leading into the garage is obscured by the mist, which has seeped through the entirety of the building. 019 Zulu trips but catches himself. He tells the team to tread carefully. As Omega 19 descends, the sound of running is heard, and seconds later a softer shrieking noise rings through the tunnel. 019 November compares it to a laugh. Entering the garage's base level, the shapes of dozens of parked cars can be discerned, and a scintillating glow is seen against the far wall. The camera focuses on the glow as Omega 19 slowly creeps towards its locus. The light moves and reveals itself to be an instance of SCP-3651-C. Its glowing white outline creeps through the garage as if searching. The instance has not noticed the team. From behind, another burst of running is heard. The outline remains still, attempting to find the source of the movement. The outline then shrieks and moves under a parked car. Its glow becomes muted. As 019 Zulu moves closer to the car, he is surprised by the sound of running, and quickly 019 Zulu turns around and shines his searchlight, revealing a startled child who stumbles to the ground. The child begins shouting and crying, gesturing that the team turn around. A glow radiates from beneath the car nearest to the child. 019 Hotel yells to the child, but the SCP-3651-C instance emerges. The child crawls into a corner, looking at the glowing humanoid with frightened curiosity. Its illuminated body flickers and quivers. The entity alters its position and slowly moves forward, reaching the child with a stick-like appendage. Its howls are choked and stiff. The child stares, transfixed on the entity. Another jerked movement brings the SCP-3651-C instance level with the child's face. 019 Zulu and 019 November hold back 019 Hotel from attempting to interfere. The instance and the child remain still. 019 Hotel pushes 019 Zulu's arm off his shoulder and rushes forward. The child reaches, touching the instance's appendage. Upon contact, the child begins convulsing. Saliva foams from the child's mouth as she repeatedly slams her head against the wall. Her gurgled screams droned out by guttural moans. 019 Hotel fires at the entity, but the instance does not react. The child continues to seize, thrashing her body. Seconds later, the child disappears. 019 November and 019 Zulu catch up to 019 Hotel, who is breathing heavily. 019 Zulu berates his subordinate for rushing off, but is distracted by the entity, who rapidly vibrates and oscillates in place. Seconds later, the entity stops. The team positions their firearms towards the instance, despite being ineffectual. The SCP-3651-C instance turns around and begins shrieking. On its head sits the child's face, its eyes rolled back and its mouth agape. A high-pitched vocalization, presumably imitating human speech, comes from the instance. No words can be discerned. The instance turns away, shakily sprinting to the garage's exit. Omega 19 takes a moment to recollect themselves. That is the end of the log. We now come to Addendum 3651.2, SCP-3651-D. On 2019, the 12th of March, high-ranking officials within the Japanese government requested Foundation investigation of a population of undocumented street children. This population, henceforth referred to as SCP-3651-D, had been discovered in the early months of the year, and appeared in cities and towns previously affected by an SCP-3651 event. The SCP-3651-D population in these areas ranges from 30 to 80 instances respectively, and the exact ages are indeterminable, but all are pre-adolescent or younger, and display a basic understanding of the Japanese language. SCP-3651-D collectively exhibits similar behavioral traits and qualities, including constant feelings of detachment or discomfort within their bodies, insensitivity to pain, memory deficits, and facial features that resemble those children who disappeared as a result of an SCP-3651-C. Investigation into local records and databases detailing missing children reveal no persons similar to SCP-3651-D, sans the superficial resemblance to victims of SCP-3651-C. Further research indicated that SCP-3651-D would appear in a locale 1 week after an SCP-3651 event through anomalous and poorly understood means. Below is a transcript of an interview with SCP-3651-D-12. SCP-3651-D-12 is an SCP-3651-D instance found in Kobe, Japan, alongside 34 other instances. The population had been driven to the outskirts of Kobe and constructed rudimentary shelter underneath the bridge leading into the city. SCP-3651-D-12 bears resemblance to confirmed SCP-3651-C victim and missing child Ota Yoshida. The instance was brought to Site-40 for interrogation. Notably, the instance had broken their foot whilst walking, snapping it at the ankle. SCP-3651-D-12 displayed no reaction to this and continued to walk on the broken foot. Begin log, translated from Japanese. Dr. Yates enters the room. SCP-3651-D-12 shifts in their seat, startled by the entrance.
Hello. Do you have a name I can call you?
Can't say it.
Dr. Yates sits down and produces a picture of Ota Yoshida. SCP-3651-D-12 does not display an apparent reaction.
Do you know who this is?
Mm-mm.
Do you recognize the name Ota Yoshida?
I don't know who I am. We don't know who we are.
We being...
The children like me. We know who we were, but we don't know who we are.
And who were you?
There was something bad that happened at home. This is not home. We had to go to the machine. It took away our bodies and we fell asleep. It hurt when it crushed our bodies and took them.
When was this?
I don't know. Not here, not here. It hurts to be here. I woke up and I was disappearing. I had to find a body. I knew I did.
How did you find a body? What do you mean by that?
I took it. Not everyone found a body. I don't know what happened to them. I took a body. Took a body. It took our bodies, so I took a body.
Took? How do you feel inside your body?
It hurt at first, and then it kept hurting. It still hurts, but we're used to it.
Where does it hurt?
Inside. I can't feel anything.
What about your foot? How does that feel?
I don't know. I can't feel anything. Since I woke up, I can't feel. Are you real?
I am. I'm thankful you're communicating with me.
I can't feel, and I took a body.
Do you know your parents?
They put us in the machine so we could go somewhere better. I don't know their faces because the machine took our bodies.
Thank you. I'll be back in a short while, okay?
That is the end of the log there, and a researcher's note. I don't know what to make of this whatsoever. Several other interviews conducted with SCP-3651-D instances retain similar inconclusive results. Their story and personality are the same across the board. Despite facial similarities, they are almost certainly not the children who had gone missing. We'll keep at it. And the exact relationship of SCP-3651-D to SCP-3651 remains uncertain. There is an update in Addendum 3651-3 in 2020 on the 3rd of April. A change in SCP-3651's pattern was recorded during an SCP-3651 event occurring in Engaru, Japan at 43 minutes past midnight. All phenomena associated with SCP-3651 suddenly ceased. Simultaneously, Foundation Cosmological Observance Technology detected the disappearance of Iteration 2234, a universe under the purview of Foundation Computer Redacted. The correlation between these events remains unknown, and SCP-3651 has not occurred since. Classification of SCP-3651 from Keter to neutralized remains dependent on the continued inactivity of SCP-3651 events.
Oh,
That's what we call spooky shit.
spooky, all right, but it seems like the parents did that to the SCP, whatever it was.
Yeah, it makes sense to me that I mean, assuming those people in universe iteration 2234 were aware that their universe was about to come to an end, which does happen from time to time, then it's distinctly possible that they used some sort of machine to what's the best way to describe this? Not necessarily swap their kids with kids in our universe, but to, I guess, just to transfer them here, and then of course being non-corporeal entities, as was documented, then I suppose that would give them the ability, or theoretically give them the ability to what's the word I'm looking for?
Possess?
Possess, yeah, or move in, or copy, in some way, shape, or form, take an existing child and
Evicted them from their body.
yeah. I'm not sure if we can prove it's the same body necessarily, but they definitely, at the very least, use it like a blueprint, I would say. Like, if we go back to the exploration log, it's noted that the child's body actually completely disappears. So, whereas I would expect, if they were like possessing it, the instance of 3651C to disappear, and then the child to remain in place. It seems to be the other way around, where the child disappears and the instance remains as it is, just then obviously with the child's face instead. So it might be like a slow process. I don't know. I've met a few shapeshifters in my time, so that's a possibility.
What I may believe is that they are using the kids' bodies and sending them back, kind of building on your last topic, where they go here, they find a subject, and they send them back to wherever they came from, while the kid is now currently inhabited in this incorporeal body, and they have to go take one, as the child said.
I wonder if this SCP would react with SCP-956.
956?
The child breaker.
I'm not familiar with SCP-596. I can't say that's one I've had the necessity to come across. So did you say 596 or 956?
956.
Okay, 956. Hang on, give me a second.
It's the pinata.
It is the pinata.
95.
Well,
there we go.
Their bodies seem to be still.
This one's quite short. I'm going to quickly run through 956, just to continue the discussion about the similarities. Okay, so SCP-956 is Object Class Euclid. It is kept at the approximate center of a standard humanoid containment cell at all times to prevent incidental activation. Entrance into the room is only permitted once SCP-956 has entered a dormant state. Permission to bring a subject into the room must be cleared by Site Director S to decrease the occurrence of SCP-956-1, as well as containing further spread. Unless for testing, individuals fulfilling SCP-956's activation requirement are not to be brought within 200 meters of SCP-956 containment area. Surveillance is to be maintained through security footage at all times. 78 instances. Yes?
Should we wait till next time to read this one, or read it today?
It's only short, so I was just thinking to quickly nip through it, and then we can, because I think that you might be on something with them being related.
No, I was wondering how they would interact with each other, but...
Oh, I thought you were saying they might be related.
No, I was saying they might react with each other.
Oh, I see. In that case, yeah, maybe then that is one to leave for next week. Even if it is short, we can just shortly read it in our next briefing. Although, one thing I would like to briefly mention about something we covered earlier, which I forgot to mention, was actually to do with SCP-2968, the afterlife pills.
Mhm.
I personally disagree with the containment class, the object class. Sorry. I mean, it doesn't use the new ACS, so it's a little bit hard to quantify it. But yeah, I don't think that it should be a Euclid class. I think it should be a safe class because it's not going to break out by itself, is it?
Euclid just means it's misunderstood, and they have no full understanding on it.
So until such a time that we do understand it, we can't deem it safe.
See, I'm not sure that makes. If we look at the anomaly classification system,
Well, this is
again,
built
this
off both of
this is
the-
before that, so yeah.
This is also built off of the entirety of the potential of it being in space and that being linked with it. So
That is true.
The pills themselves most likely are just a way to sync up with that. Not sure how long it will link afterward. That object in the sky that we have no way of further testing would be Euclid.
I
That's
would
true.
prefer not to have more instances of rocket fuel souls because we don't know where that fuel will go now.
That's a very good point, actually. I hadn't thought about that. Like, what would happen if someone took one of the pills now? That's a good point. I mean, you see, this is why I work in orientation and training, and not filing reports, except for the times I do. But I don't do that much. That was it. That was all I had to mention.
That's interesting.
Excellent. So I think that brings us pretty much to the conclusion of today, unless any of you have any final closing statements.
No, we got through without incident today.
That makes a nice change. It's a good job nobody's, being murdered, but
Again.
that's neither here nor there. I'm sure it will be perfectly fine. So, to all of you wonderful new C-Class, I hope you have enjoyed your orientation, because God knows that's the last bit of fun you're going to get for a while. When you exit the room, not through the door you came in, you will be exiting through this other door just behind us. You will receive your assignments shortly after. And you never know, I might end up seeing some of you back at Site 28. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to catch up. Feel free to come up, say hi. Let me know how much you enjoyed this briefing, and then I can show you around the place. It'll be chill. We'll hang out.
I'll send documents out to each of your supervisors. That way, you can come back for next week's current study and testing.
Yeah, reassignment is always an option unless you happen to have agreed to SCP-3249, in which
To
case
sell your
tough.
soul to SCP-3249, apparently.
Yeah, it pretty much is like that. There's probably one of our anomalies that lets you sell souls, right?
Not explore that thought.
Yes,
Or we
I'm
get
sure.
into somewhere we're not supposed to be.
Yeah, you're probably right. Well then, with that, my wonderful colleagues, I will love you and leave you, and I will finish up with my little C-Class group, and yeah, we can reconvene at some point soon.
Speak in 2 weeks. Now, for everyone here who is currently involved with our study, please note that we will be continuing within the following weeks. I myself am Aloris G22, a researcher and developer here in the Foundation. I will help you study and learn where we can, but other than that, you are going to be assigned to where you need to be. Now, I thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful night.